Welcome back to Movies with MacLean. I'm Andrew MacLean, and this is my weekly movie podcast. This is episode 8, and today our main topic is animated movies. I have a very special guest with me, Grant Hoffman. How are we doing today, Grant?
I'm doing great, Andrew. I'm honored to be on the show. Longtime fan since the beginning.
Oh, well, I'm glad to have you, man. This should be a fun show. It might be a shorter show because we only have like the news and the main topic, and there's only 2 of us, so we won't have as much to talk about, but we'll aim for around 25 minutes. So, in the movie news today, actually, is there anything you want to say before we get started, Grant?
I'm ready. I'm ready to hear the news.
All right, we got 3 news stories for you today, and the first one is that Sony has stated that they're still working on the Venom movie, which was rumored a while ago. Sony still has the rights to make Spider-Man movies, but like Disney and like Marvel can use Spider-Man in their MCU movies, but like the Spider-Man movie that will be part of the MCU is still going to be made by Sony, and they have the rights to other Spider-Man characters. So they're making a Venom movie with Venom the villain. He appeared in Spider-Man 3, the awful Spider-Man 3, played by Topher Grace, but it'll be a solo Venom movie as an anti-hero, and apparently it's not like going to be related to the Spider-Man movie at all. It's going to be like completely separate. Spider-Man's not going to appear. So, Grant, what do you think of this?
Well, I'm a little relieved to find out that's not going to have anything to do with the Spider-Man 3 movie, because that was just terrible. Don't think there was a worse superhero movie yet, other than the Green Lantern.
Fantastic Four, maybe?
Maybe, but I don't know, maybe if they switch up the character a little bit, it could be good, but I don't really know much about Venom, so, I mean, I guess I'm just going to have to wait until I see it. I mean, it's definitely interesting, because I know he's usually depicted as a villain. I don't really know of any comic books or anything that he's been exactly the good guy or anti-hero in.
I think they did a run with that. I'm not big into like Venom either. I know like in the Spider-Man 3 movie, he was like a regular guy who got like that black stuff on him that turned him like kind of bad. I don't know if they'll go like the same route with that Origins, or I don't really know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
But
I don't read many Spider-Man comic books, so I'm not sure about the origin story of him. So, I mean, maybe that stayed faithful to the comic book, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's interesting. It sounds like they're trying to do like a Deadpool thing, like they're all going to try to do Deadpool now, but it could be good. I don't know. I think it's in 2 years is when it'll come out, in 2018. I might be wrong. It might be 2017, but that's all for that story, I think, unless you have anything else you want to add.
No, I'm good. We can move on to the next one.
Okay. This was a rumor that was leaked in the Sony hack back in 2014 with the North Korea thing with like the interview. It was rumored when they hacked in that Sony was working on crossing over their 21 Jump Street franchise with their Men in Black franchise, and Sony has confirmed that this weekend. And it will not have like Will Smith or Tommy Lee Jones back, but it will have Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill from 22 Jump Street. This movie doesn't have a title yet, but it won't be directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who did the first 2. They're off doing some small space movie, Star Wars. But what do you think about this? You excited for this, or think it doesn't sound good, or what?
Well, I mean, when you first kind of hear about it, you probably think it's going to be trash, because it doesn't really make any sense. I mean, whose idea was it to cross over 2 franchises that probably shouldn't be crossed over in the first place? But, I mean, if, like, Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones aren't going to be in it, then maybe, I mean, Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill, I mean, they do have a good partner dynamic in the 21 Jump Street movies. And Men in Black tend to kind of have that funny element to them, too, as well as the seriousness. I mean, they have some similarities, but I don't think it'd be a great idea. It doesn't make much sense. I don't think, like, they don't pair up many buddy cop movies together. It just doesn't make sense. They usually just stick with the same name,
Yeah,
not just the 21 Jump Street with aliens. I mean, doesn't make much sense to me why they decided to do that.
yeah. I mean, I thought that both of those franchises were working still. Like, I thought the 21 Jump Street franchise was going well, and so same with the Men in Black. I guess I've heard like some people that weren't fans of the last Men in Black movie. I liked it though. Maybe they're trying to like revamp that franchise by crossing it over with this one. But yeah, I'm also not really sure about this. I mean, I like you said, Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill had a good like dynamic, good chemistry, so they could be funny. But I don't know why they need to bring in aliens. Like it, they could have just continued with the 23 Jump Street, but we'll see. I mean, it'll probably still be funny. We'll have to see like who's writing and directing. But those guys are funny, but I just don't know. I thought that was weird.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about how I feel about that. I'll probably have to wait till I see a trailer or something before I can really form like a full opinion on it.
I wonder what they'll call it. Like 23 Jump Street, Men in Black.
Yeah,
Again, I don't even know.
I don't think it should be done.
Yeah. Okay. On our last story, this is big news. We have Warner Bros. Announced their casting of Jim Gordon for the Justice League movies, and it is J.K. Simmons, Academy Award winner J.K. Simmons, who won last year for Whiplash, and you also probably know him as J. Jonah Jameson from the Spider-Man franchise, and the guy from the Farmers Insurance commercials. So I think this is great casting, but I'll go to you first, Grant. What do you think?
I think it's definitely fitting because, I mean, I saw Whiplash. It was a little bit weird, but I definitely think that he has, like, the grit to play the role in film because I think that Jim Gordon in the Dark Knight series, I mean, like, he was played well by Gary Oldman, but I mean, it probably could have been done better. He was definitely good, but I mean, J.K. Simmons, I think, definitely fits the role, I think, a lot better. He's kind of got that police kind of mentality to him. He's like a gruff, kind of old guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll work well in the role. I mean, what do you think about it?
I mean, yeah, well, I really liked Gary Oldman. I didn't have any problems with that. And I'm not saying you have problems. I don't think you're saying you have problems with it, but I thought that was done very well. But I also think J.K. Simmons could do a great job. His character was like comical a little bit in the Spider-Man movies. Like he wasn't really taken seriously, the J. Jonah Jameson. And I haven't seen Whiplash, but I've heard great things about his performance. He really seems like he has the gravitas to pull off that role. And if they're going for like this dark and gritty like feel that like Man of Steel had, and it looks like Batman v Superman's going to have with the Justice League movies, then I'm very excited to see J.K. Simmons in that role. Jim Gordon has been around from the very first issue that Batman was in Detective Comics, and he's a great character. And I don't think that they had a Commissioner Gordon in the original Batman movies, like with Michael Keaton. So this would only be the second guy to play him, but I hope that it turns out as good as the Gary Oldman version, because I really like those.
I think it'll be a great fit. That's probably the only thing in this movie news that I'm probably like really psyched about. I mean, that's definitely great casting by Warner Bros.
Yeah. Okay. That's all for the movie news. Also, quick TV news. There was a Game of Thrones trailer that dropped a few minutes ago, but we won't get into that because this is movies with MacLean. Although we might do a Game of Thrones episode at some point. But we're on to our main topic, which is animated movies. If you saw the last two episodes, how we did comedies and sports movies, we just take turns talking about our favorite animated movies in this case, and we'll both talk about the movies that we bring up and what we like and don't like about them and why they're our favorites. Also, if you didn't see the last two episodes, go check them out on my YouTube channel, I guess it's Andrew MacLean, it's just the channel. So I'll let you go first, Grant. What movie do you want to
I think I'm going to start with The Iron Giant. This was probably one of my favorite movies as a kid. I absolutely loved it. I think it's just got a really good plot, and it always keeps you real interested. And I think that Vin Diesel playing the robot was kind of a preliminary role to his Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy, because they both don't say much, and they both sound pretty much the exact same. But I thought it was a really, really great movie. I thought it was funny. I know I've watched it many times as a kid, and I've still probably seen it a couple of times, like in the past couple of years. I think it's great. I think it's really holds up to the test of time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember I really liked it as a kid. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I know that Jon Favreau directed it. He did like Elf and Iron Man, and he's doing the Jungle Book. So I'm sure if I watched it again, it would hold up. I'm glad to hear that you think it does. I'll probably check it out again soon. So I can't really say much about it, but anything else from you about that?
No, I really liked it as a kid, and just kind of wanted to start off talking about it.
Yep. Yeah, I'll watch that one again. All right, my first pick is it's not completely animation, but it's like a mix of live action and animation, so I thought it fit, and that's Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This is like, if you haven't seen it, there's like characters from not only like Warner Bros. Animation, like Looney Tunes, but also I think there's like Disney characters in there, and it's like about a detective and played by Bob Hoskins, and then Roger Rabbit, who they're like out to figure out like what's killing the tunes or something like that. And it's actually like really creepy. If I feel like if a young kid watches it, they might be a little disturbed by like I think it's Judge Doom is Christopher Lloyd's character, but I think it's a lot of fun. It's a really great animated movie. And have you seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
I think I saw it like a long time ago, so I mean, I don't really know too many details about the movie anymore. But I mean, I remember liking it. I remember thinking it was a good movie. It was well put together for like all the characters they had to put in it. And it was pretty good for a crossover between real life and animation, but not as good as Space Jam, because that's pretty hard to beat.
I think it's better than Space Jam, but it's really funny. They like play off of how like the laws of like how like in a cartoon like the laws of like physics like don't really affect the cartoons, but then like when a real person goes there, it like affects them. It's real funny. And yeah, it works a lot better than other movies that sort of try to do like CGI mixed with live action, like Alvin and the Chipmunks
Well, that's just
or
trash.
the Smurfs, which I didn't see but just looked awful. But well, I guess if we call this animation, I wonder if we call what do you call it? The Jungle Book animation, because like really the only thing that's live action in that upcoming movie will be like the kid. But I'm going off track. I like Who Framed Roger Rabbit is my point. So you go ahead with your next one.
Alright, I think I'm going to start off with the next movie being a Pixar movie that I always like, and that is Toy Story, because that's probably easily one of the best Pixar animated films, as well as just the animated films of this generation, without a doubt. I mean, not many kids have not seen that movie. It's great. It's got a great plot. All the voice actors are planned out well. It's real interesting. I'm trying to think. The animation was very good for its time. And obviously it does hold up to the test of time. I think it's still good to this day, and I think the animation still holds up to this day, which is kind of surprising. It really shows that Pixar's really kind of ahead of the curve over DreamWorks and other major animation labels.
Yeah, well, they got way ahead way back then. I mean, I think it was the first like completely computer generated like animated movie, and they won like an Oscar just like for a special achievement for like making that.
Yeah, they deserved it.
And it was an incredible movie with like great story, like you said, great voice acting, and it spawned two really good sequels. Like I don't really remember much of Toy Story 2, but I know Toy Story 3, which I saw a few years ago, was still not as good as the first one, but still really great. And yeah, I mean, if you don't love Toy Story, like you can just well, like Toy Story is one of the greatest movies.
Without a
not
doubt.
like not even animated movies. Everyone loves Toy Story.
In general, yeah. I think Pixar really plays emotions well in those movies, and that's why they're always successful.
It was the start of Pixar, which we'll get to a lot more Pixar movies probably, because almost everything they've done is great.
That's a given.
Okay, well, going with Pixar, I'm going with Ratatouille, which I love. I feel like it's not like in a lot of people's like favorite Pixar movies, but it's like top three for me probably. I like it's about like sort of following your dreams, and like if you love food, it's like a great movie about food. And then I really like the voice acting from Pat Oswalt. It's a good story. It's pretty funny. The score really stands out. It's got great music. I think it's Michael Giacchino who did like the Star Trek movies, like the more recent ones. You have you seen Ratatouille?
I have, yeah, I saw it. I haven't seen it many times. I've probably seen it 2 or 3 times. I remember liking it. I mean, again, like as you said, I don't think it's in my top Pixar movies, but I remember it being like a good movie. Like I really liked watching it. Thought it was a good plot. I liked how he kind of just stood out from all the other rats and kind of just followed his dreams. I thought that was pretty inspiring. But I mean, other than that, I can't speak too much to it because I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll move on then.
All right. Next movie I'm going to mention is yet another Pixar movie, which is The Incredibles, because this is definitely in my top three animated movies. I mean, easily one of my favorites. I absolutely loved all the characters, and I liked, I thought, like, I can't remember the name of the villain. Is it Sinestro or Syndrome?
That's Green Lantern. Yeah, it's Syndrome.
Syndrome. Sorry, can't remember it all, but I remember that the villain was played really well, and I just really loved watching it. I still like watching it now, and I can't wait. I think Pixar did announce a sequel that's coming out in the next couple of years, and I just can't wait for it.
Yeah. Oh wait, I said Jon Favreau for Iron Giant. I think it might have been Brad Bird. I'm not sure on that one, so don't hold me to that. But Brad Bird did do Incredibles, and Incredibles is incredible. It's a great story of about family, really. It's about like spending time with your family, and it's just really great how like they go after like Mr. Incredible and save him when he goes off, and even though he's not really being the best family man, they end up as a great family in the end, and I love like how Jack like turns on Syndrome then at the end with his like powers that showed up. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's also really funny. So, The Incredibles, I'd say. Well, first, do you have anything else to say about it?
I don't know. I think my favorite superhero in the movie was actually Frozone, easily.
Yeah, he's
probably
cool.
one of the best parts there.
Yeah.
Actually.
A lot of great action at the end there.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of good action sequences in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, The Incredibles is, I think, my second favorite animated movie. And if you've been watching this podcast, I think you know what my favorite animated movie is. It's Shrek. And we won't get too much into Shrek because we've talked about it before, but I'll just let Grant talk about Shrek because I've said enough about it already.
Well, I mean, I definitely like Shrek. I'm not sure if it's my favorite movie, but I mean, Eddie Murphy works really well as Donkey in the movie, and I think like the storyline's like really great. I like how it kind of incorporates all the other fairy tales, and I remember absolutely loving the scene in the beginning where it goes and fights all the knights and such. That's probably one of my favorite animated scenes in movies, I think, in my opinion. I liked how it kind of had like that vulgar humor kind of attached with it, as long as it was kind of a risky movie for its time, considering how popular the animated movies were when it came out after kind of following on the trail of Toy Story. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it.
With Toy Story being like one of the first Pixar movies, I think this was one of the first like DreamWorks animation movies. I think Ants might have been DreamWorks too, but
I think so.
Yeah. I've said enough about Shrek in the past. I love how funny it is and how it has like great values. I use Shrek in like my essay that I wrote for English. So yeah, you gotta love Shrek. I'll probably watch it when we're done with this. What do you got next?
Looking through my list here, I think I'm gonna go with probably one of the most classic, which is Lion King. Which, I mean, everybody loves Lion King. Starting with, I mean, easily just the soundtrack was probably the best soundtrack, I think, with an animated movie ever. And I think all the characters are really well performed, and the whole storyline is absolutely gripping. I mean, I love watching that movie. I'm sure kids who were born like just a couple of years ago still probably love that movie. And I don't think there's been many animated movies that rival it in popularity and I don't know, I don't know, greatness. Probably it's easily one of those legendary movies, and it's definitely like put its place up to early Disney movies as well. I think it's really great.
Yeah, I mean, Disney hasn't, they like, had a period where they weren't making, like, such great movies, like The Lion King, like, early 2000s, they weren't making those great movies. I think they're getting back in with those good movies. Not as good as The Lion King, of course, but yeah, you say the soundtrack, I think it had, like, 4 different songs nominated for, like, the best song at the Oscars, and, like, I think there's only, like, 5 songs they pick for that, so
Exactly,
it's pretty much, like,
yeah.
all of them that year, and, I mean, it's just like The Incredibles is a great story, like involving family and like it's about like his legacy, Simba and like like the whole thing with like remember who you are. It's like got great values. Anyone can enjoy it. I think it's the highest grossing G movie of all time, and yeah, it just a fantastic movie.
Very well put together.
Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna go with the SpongeBob SquarePants movie for my next movie. It's a great, like, adaptation from the TV show. I didn't see the new one, that looked kind of weird.
Yeah. Well,
SpongeBob hasn't been good recently anyways, but back in, I think, 2004 when they made this, it was still in the glory days of SpongeBob, and it was so funny, and it was a great adventure. They got in a lot of good voice actors. I think Scarlett Johansson was Mindy, and yeah, I mean, if you love SpongeBob, you'll love the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, and who doesn't love SpongeBob? So, what do you have to say about the SpongeBob SquarePants movie?
I'm not sure if it holds up as well just because of the silliness of the movie, but I remember as a kid, I don't think there was a TV adaptation movie I loved any more than that. I mean, all the, I mean, just the general silliness of the entire show just really got to me as a kid, and I still love SpongeBob today, even though, true, I mean, they haven't been putting out as many good episodes as they used to, but, yeah, I think SpongeBob SquarePants movie is definitely one of the best TV to film adaptations. I mean, not just animated wise, but in general, I think it was very popular and grossed very well for its time.
Yeah, I mean, you said you're not sure if it holds up. I watched it like pretty recently. It definitely holds up. The humor hits every time, like with the whole like now that we're men scene, and then like they're like making fun of the monsters as they walk away, and they're like, oh, not you guys. It's so funny. The whole David Hasselhoff. I forgot. I can't believe you didn't mention him. Has a great cameo in there. Oh, I guess technically then that makes this a blend of live action and animation too. But SpongeBob SquarePants movie is hilarious, even if you're 16 or 80. So watch it if you haven't seen it. I believe it's on Netflix. What do you have next? Or is that it?
Next, I'll throw one more movie out there. I'm gonna say probably one of the Pixar greats, which is Up.
Okay.
I mean, most people do love Up. I like how it kind of Pixar really shows their ability to really like convey emotion. I think in that movie. I mean, obviously with the death, they deal with like death and other like hard things to deal with in that movie. I think more than any Pixar movie. I think this is easily the most emotional. In this one, they really kind of like stepped out of their bounds. I think they kind of tried to go a little bit further with the movies, and it definitely paid off well because it was very successful, and I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Up too. It's not one of my favorite Pixar movies, but yeah, it is really emotional, and it can appeal to adults and kids alike. And it's just Pixar, like, doing Pixar like they always do it best. And I mean, there's not many Pixar movies that you can really take shots at, and Up is certainly one that you cannot take shots at. It's it's just really a great emotional movie, and also like good fun for the family. So like I said, I'm not the best Up fan. I'm not the biggest Up fan, so like I'm not the best guy to talk about it, but I still enjoy it a lot. So I guess you have anything else you want to say about Up?
No, I think I nailed. I think I'm like done with talking about it. If you want to put out one more movie, that's fine.
All right. I think I'll go with the Lego Movie. Came out 2 years ago, I believe. It didn't even get nominated for like Best Animated Feature, and that was a huge snub. There was like this shirt that was like everything is not awesome. It was like a Lego like flipping off like the Oscar or whatever. But it was really funny. A lot of great like cameos, and they brought in it was risky like to take a toy and like make it into an animated movie like that, and it worked really well. They're doing like a Minecraft movie that might be in like the same vein as that. It looks similar, but it really worked. The humor worked. They had Will Arnett as Batman, and I know they're making the Lego Batman movie now. Did you know about that?
That's awesome, because he's definitely probably one of my favorite cameos in the movie. I thought it was definitely funny.
Yeah, and then like they just make fun of like how some of the things that Emmett makes are just like stupid and useless, and that was real funny too. And then like it also had like good values at the end with like Will Ferrell as like the dad and like President Business, and like how he like had to have everything like with order, and then his kid like showed him like how they could like be more creative and stuff, and it was really cool, and a great animated movie. We have time if you want to do another, but I'm good with mine if you want to get in one more movie.
Alright, I'll throw out another. Let me look at this list. I'm gonna say one that probably should have been said before, which is WALL-E.
Okay.
I really like this movie. It was probably, I don't know if it's the best Pixar movie, but it was definitely well put together, I think. The whole concept did really well. You definitely love the character of WALL-E. I think even though there's really not even much dialogue in the movie, they definitely developed the characters well, which I think is something that Pixar did great with that movie, because, WALL-E can only say one word, yet you definitely seem to know the character and personality of him. I think that was definitely a triumph for Pixar in that regard.
Yeah, I've only seen WALL-E like once, but yeah, like you said, like it was kind of a risk to do like it without the dialogue like that, but it really worked. And again, it's Pixar, just doing Pixar, and I guess I don't have much else to say about WALL-E. Anything else from you?
No, I think I said my piece about it.
Okay, well, we're gonna end right now. Just a few as we didn't get into depth with these, but I just wanted to say Aladdin and Monsters, Inc. are two other great animated movies that I didn't get to. And I think you had Finding Nemo.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So most people have seen those, so it's fine that we didn't get to those. Also, speaking of animated movies, Zootopia topped the box office this weekend. I think I'll be out to see that soon.
Yeah, I don't think I usually like to check like the Rotten Tomatoes for all the movies, like as they come out, to see if I want to like see them, because usually I think that's pretty accurate. And
yeah,
Zootopia I think is a 99%, which is very hard to achieve, and which is kind of surprising because it is not a Pixar film, which is
it's Disney.
It's
not
Disney,
Pixar,
but
yeah.
it's not Pixar, which usually is the one who dominates that and consistently gets great reviews. But I've heard it's great, so I heard it's like kind of edgy. It's good for both the parents and the kids.
Yeah, Disney's getting back into it with their animated movies. Like I said, they had like Big Hero 6 and Wreck-It Ralph. I heard both great things about both of those. Haven't seen either of them though. So that's all we got for you guys today. Until next time, until next week, we'll see you. Thanks for watching. And I forgot to say thank you very much to you, Grant.
Oh no, thank you for having me on the show.
This was a lot of fun, and I hope to have you back.
Alright, sounds good.
Alright, you guys, we'll see you next week. Goodbye.